Much shorter. Okay. Thank you very much for the degree. It was really an unexpected surprise, and for the generous introduction. You're looking really good, class of 2017. Are you ready to graduate? I am incredibly humbled and honored to be at Southern New Hampshire University once again. As you have heard, it was only 12 short months ago that I too sat in this arena, across this very stage, waiting patiently for my name to be called. My children and friends, some of whom drove 13 hours with me from Virginia, sat right over there. And I can't help but notice that the energy and sense of accomplishment and relief is as palpable now as it was then. I want to start by thanking President LeBlanc for the invitation to speak today, but more importantly, for living your values and being a relentless advocate for these and countless other students. Thank you to the Board of Trustees for your leadership and vision that continues to chart this institution's path forward. To the faculty, staff, and advisors who have contributed to our individual journeys and collective success. And to everyone who has worked hard to make this event possible, particularly the custodians, technicians, groundskeepers, and security officers. Thank you. Let's give them a big hand. I also want to thank and acknowledge the parents, grandparents, children, grandchildren, spouses, partners, and friends, and so many others who join us today. Those who couldn't make it here, but who held your hands along the way, also share in the joy of this day. If the journey of today's graduates is anything like mine, I can almost guarantee you that they wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. Students, I was also raised Catholic, so can you please stand and turn to your family and friends and give them a big hand? Thank you. Last, but certainly not least, thank you, students, the graduating class of 2017. While it is fair to thank you for coming today, because I know that some of you traveled long distances, my thanks to you are for far more. It is often said that education is the great equalizer, and that when it comes to bettering our lives and reaching our potential, education continues to be the greatest investment we can make in ourselves. Thank you for investing in yourself and your learning, whether it was for a few courses or for a few years. Thank you for working hard and persisting against any obstacles, for staying up long nights that turned into days that melted into weekends, forcing you to miss both the small and big moments in the lives of the people that you care most about. Thank you for balancing the demanding forces at play in your lives that at times were only known to you, and for never losing sight of the finish line, no matter how many times the finish line seemed to move. Today we honor you and celebrate your tenacity and perseverance. Let's give our students a big hand. Now, I have to be honest with you. Accepting the invitation to speak to you today was scary. I accepted almost immediately. Doing so was my way of jumping off the proverbial cliff. If I said yes right away, I thought, there was no backing out, and I'd forced myself to do something unimaginable, to take a risk. If I thought about it for far too long, I knew I'd find reasons for why I should say no. Chief among them, I thought, was I'm just an ordinary person. But here's the thing. If I said no, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to learn about this special class. This morning, for example, I sat in my hotel room reading through hundreds of comments on SNHU's Facebook page, from many of you sharing what this degree means to you. I was moved to tears. If I had said no, I also would not have had the chance to validate the reasons that motivated both you and me to keep going, and the sacrifices we made along the way. These reasons and sacrifices at the end of the day are not ordinary at all. Like some of you, I was born to immigrant parents. They never went beyond an elementary school education. In fact, my father only made it to second grade. Through the education I earned, I have shown a new world to my parents. As a child of immigrant parents, I also sought to teach the world about my culture and the struggles of those who share my experiences. Like some of you, I am a representative of a minority community in this country, a woman of color, Latina, who has faced adversity because of the color of my skin, the sound of my name, or the path I have walked. Like some of you, I was a teen parent, a title that I was too unripe to appreciate, but one that nonetheless shaped an identity for me that taught me the hard lessons of perseverance. Like some of you, I am a single parent who shoulders the awesome responsibility of raising healthy, kind, and loving children while trying to create a safe and nurturing environment. I am also a survivor of domestic violence, something that too often affects many of our families and homes. Like some of you, I am a first-generation college student, one who redefined the meaning of resourcefulness and grit while living out my family's American dream. Like some of you, I am an adult learner who had to juggle the demands of work and family while trying to squeeze in an education in between the colorful folds of my life. More importantly, like all of you, I am a doer. I didn't quit when things got hard. As doers, we keep doing. Your reasons for not giving up may differ than mine, and they may differ than the person sitting next to you. The important thing to remember is that you endured and should be immensely proud of yourself. So look around and soak this moment up. You are finally here. You are here today as proof that you can do anything you dream of. You are the resilient ones. You are the ones that endure. I'd like to talk to you about what that means, what it means to endure. Last February, I was on the train in Washington, D.C., going to work. Train rides seemed to be the only chance I had for alone time. Okay, train rides and bathroom breaks, but let's be real, when you have two kids, one of whom was 4, one of them is never a guarantee. The parents here will know what I'm talking about, am I right? As I was saying, on this particular day, I was on the train going to work when I came across a TED podcast entitled To Endure, which featured several speakers talking about how they navigated through challenging, often dark moments in their lives. One of those speakers was Ben Saunders. Saunders became the first person to trek on skis from the edge of Antarctica to the South Pole and back. He talked about the treacherous and slow pace of his 1,800-mile, cold and unforgiving journey. Mind you, as he carried 400 pounds of equipment with him. He describes how he remained focused on reaching his destination in spite of the harsh, whiteout conditions and depleting food. After 61 days of walking, he reached the South Pole, essentially the halfway mark of his journey. He stopped briefly to take a few photos, but decided not to sit down and take a break. Instead, he turned around and completed the 900-mile trek back. Saunders went on to say that if he had sat down, he would not have had the courage to keep going. That doing so would have broken his focus, and he wondered if he would have endured and eventually crossed the finish line. I remember crying when I heard this. I felt like I finally had the vocabulary to explain just how heavy the journey felt for me and the focus required to travel it. At the time, I was navigating a demanding job, and not just any job, but one in which I was helping the President of the United States and a Secretary of Education advance a set of priorities for the nation, and raising 2 children without any family around to help, praying and silently hoping I didn't screw them up. At the same time, my personal life was in turmoil. I was working with attorneys and preparing for court dates, attending meetings for survivors of domestic violence, simply trying to stay afloat. The long hours of homework followed by an average of 5, maybe 6 hours of sleep, became my norm. For years, my life was scheduled down to the minute. I went from one thing to the next without allowing myself to think or feel. It was a robotic existence and unforgiving discipline that took over my life and the lives of my children. If I had stopped to take a break, I don't think I would have ever finished. I remember turning to my son a few weeks before graduation and saying, just a few more months of homework and classes, and that's it. That's it. Everything's gonna go back to normal. To which he quickly and as a matter of factly responded, normal? I've forgotten what normal feels like. I did everything I could to get to this arena last year and to create a new sense of normal for my children and for me, spending hours on the phone with academic advisors hustling for every possible credit to transfer from 3 different colleges I'd attended before, working with professors for extensions when things at home got tough, and taking advantage of other opportunities like competency-based exams to try and save money whenever possible. I think that's the most creative I've ever been in my life. But I'm not the only one that has done this. You all figured it out. You brokered your time too, because you knew what needed to get done. My degree was so much bigger than me, and yours is so much bigger than you. It represents generations of aspirations, sweat and tears, hard work, courage, defied expectations, fulfilled dreams. It represents hope, faith, opportunity. One of our graduates, Amy Creighton, at 94 years young, who earns her Bachelor of Arts in Creative Writing and English with a 4.0 GPA nonetheless, said, yeah. Amy said, it feels good to graduate, but in many ways I feel I am still on the road. I have more to learn. If you're thinking about going back to school, do it. You'll open up a whole new life. Others who are here today have traveled similar paths too, and they recognize how getting here has opened up a whole new life for them. One of our graduates from the College of Online and Continuing Education, Jessica, is a military spouse. I'm not sure what Jessica is, but hello. She attended many colleges, not by choice, but by circumstance, as she and her partner moved around often. Jessica, too, was moved to tears upon learning how many credits would actually transfer to SNHU. Jessica endured through chronic kidney disease and lupus nephritis and was hospitalized at least 15 times throughout her journey. She never stopped. She hustled and juggled, and now she's here, graduating. Jessica's husband joins her today, and I'm happy to learn that he has now joined SNHU as a student as well. Tiffany from College for America, persevered through the sudden sickness and death of a very close family member. Tiffany also felt stuck in her career, but now, with her associate's degree, she can now see opportunities opening up for her. And she's not stopping there. She's pursuing her bachelor's too. And Maria, an ESL student, overcame her fear of speaking English to get to graduation today. Her work and coaching calls with the staff at College for America have helped her to practice her skills and increase her confidence. There are more stories like theirs. Stories of endurance and determination fill this arena. You are anything but ordinary. In fact, you are the real people who carry your families, communities, and our country forward. In 2012, President Barack Obama addressed Barnard College's graduating class and said, "Never underestimate the power of your example." He is exactly right. You never know who is looking at you and seeing a superhero. Your lived experience will make it real for others too, for your children, nieces and nephews, your siblings, and maybe even your parents and neighbors. You are their superhero because you endured. So what happens now? I struggled to identify what advice to give you today, mostly because I'm still figuring it out myself. But I stand here today to share with you some important lessons I have learned since graduating last year. I do know that life doesn't get easier. As a matter of fact, life seems harder these days. For some, life feels uncertain. For many, hope and optimism is hard to come by. At a time when our world seems more divisive, when communities feel disheartened, disenfranchised, and disengaged, it is ever more important to tell our stories, to listen to one another with the goal of understanding. It is ever more important to show compassion and empathy. We may have grown at opposite ends of the country, and maybe even the globe. We may have been raised with different traditions and cultures. We may lead different lifestyles, speak different languages, practice different faiths, or love differently than our neighbor. But we have scores of shared experiences. Those shared experiences show us that we have more in common than not, that we are more similar than we are different. I ask, no, I implore you to find opportunities to find common ground with others. Don't shy away from them. We don't have to see the world through the same lens. What matters is that we try to understand why people see the world the way they do. I promise you that you will continue learning about yourself and others in doing so, and that your life will be richer because of it. You have all the skills and tools you need to build necessary bridges of understanding. Tell your story and talk about the hardships. People need to know that they aren't alone. Leverage your shared experiences to better recognize our stories of endurance and perseverance. Use these to uplift and empower one another to reach new heights. Learn from one another and teach your families, circle of friends, and communities about the plight of others. Because, as hard as it is to believe this, we are the privileged ones. Today, you have achieved a milestone that still so many struggle to ever achieve. While we have made progress in college completion rates, less than half of the country has an associate's degree or higher. For African Americans and Hispanics, that number is far less. We still have a long way to go to make it easier for everyone who wants to go to college to do so. The odds continue to be against so many. Ignite empathy and compassion towards those who do not share in our privilege. Use your education to lift up others, particularly those from underserved communities. Know that they are more similar than they are different, and by recognizing and validating our shared experiences, we thrive and move forward. Labor leader and civil rights activist Cesar Chavez once said, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others, for their sakes and for our own." I hope you join me in appreciating the awesome privilege of higher education. Live a life on your own terms without the self-doubt of unfulfilled dreams or confined potential, and exercise your capacity to endure, to continue making our world a better place through compassion, empathy, and valuing shared experiences. God bless you, your families, and your futures. Go forward and be fearless. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Thank you, and congratulations, class of 2017.